Well, hello. It is Tuesday, March 31st, and here we are at the end of this month and about to head into another month which we now know will be another month of social distancing. Are you ready? We can do this. We can do this. And we can do it the same way we've done these last couple of weeks. We will do it by anchoring ourselves in the two greatest commandments Jesus said to us. He has given us His will for us. Love the Lord your God with all your heart, mind, soul, and strength. And so day after day, every day, we need to come back together and find ways to encourage one another, to come back together, to anchor ourselves in the love of God, and indeed in the character of God, and indeed in the love of God for us. Love the Lord your God with all your heart, mind, soul, and strength, and love your neighbor as yourself. We also need to continue to stay connected to one another. Look out for one another in the church. Encourage one another in the church. Indeed, reach out to our neighbors and to those around us. Check in on one another. And I just want to say, as we come to the end of this first stretch, our March stretch of social distancing, our March stretch of quarantine, here at the church office, we have been so encouraged and amazed to see all the ways in which church people are taking care of one another. We have seen groceries delivered, phone calls made, cards sent, meals served, community dinner was served last week in coordination with Augusta Police Department, Augusta Fire Department, and city authorities. We figured out a way to still serve the meal under quarantine and do it in a way that was safe. Thank you to everybody who helped with that. And of course, masks have been made and are going out to hospitals, and calls are coming in for more masks, and people are buying flowers, and flowers are going to be delivered, and there are more schemes of ways that we are going to and intending to do good toward one another. And I have no doubt that around this area, families are gathering for worship, and people are spending time in prayer. And this church is continuing to press into the Lord and love one another. And honestly, it has been really beautiful and encouraging to see. And it's been very helpful to hear back from you as well, what is going on and the way that you're coping with all of this. And so, and even just worshiping together in your homes. And so we're going to end this today's time together with some of the pictures that you sent. Just a few of the pictures. I've heard verbally from more of you, but I know it's kind of funny to take your own picture and send it in. But some of you did, and it's a nice representation of some of the people of Penny at worship in our homes on this past Sunday. So thank you for the way that you have continued to be an encouragement to me. And as we come now to the 31st, I am going to continue to keep these daily videos going. The format might change a little bit here and there. We want to continue to try to make it somewhat interactive. Also want to continue just to anchor briefly, maybe even a little bit more briefly here and there in the scripture, and with some guidance into prayer. So putting some work into that. We're also looking at ways where, and opening up and advertising to you some more small groups, online small groups. Some of them are already meeting. We want to let you know about those in the coming week or two, and other opportunities, others that will be starting, places to check in so you can see other people's faces in the church, at least even in a virtual format, and not just have to look only at mine. So we're hoping to get those launched soon. And of course, this Sunday will be Palm Sunday, and next week will be Holy Week, and then Easter Sunday. We are continuing to prepare resources and ways for us to mark these days, to celebrate this Christ this week and this coming week and on Holy Week and on Easter Sunday. It will not be the same, but it will not go uncelebrated. The Church of Jesus Christ will worship, and we are looking for ways to continue to provide resources for some, even some special resources for some of those days, for us to use in this time when we are scattered until that time when we can come back together again. So here comes April. You with me? We got this. Well, the Lord has this, and the Lord is with us. And so one day at a time, we're going to keep moving forward. And I'd encourage you, keep relying on the Lord and keep reaching out to one another, and maybe particularly be thoughtful about those who may not even have access to this kind of technology, and who could really use a card or a phone call, whether those are people in our church community or even just some of your neighbors who might be isolated. The longer this goes, the more we're going to have to continually reach out and think of other people and find ways to reach out to other people. This is how we can show the love of Christ, both within the church and to our neighbors. So this has been amazing, the things that have been happening. Let's keep them going. Let's keep them going one day at a time. The psalm I have today, just a brief psalm, and then I want to show you some of the pictures. I did want to give you that update of some of what is happening here and what we're thinking of. But the psalm I want to read for you and then show you some pictures. It's just a brief psalm. It may sound like a strange psalm to you, but when the first line is very clear. The images afterwards, maybe not so much, but when we hear it, it is a psalm that, and when we understand it and meditate on it, it is a psalm that may make us feel a little sad right now because of what we're missing, but can also inspire in us a gratitude for what we have had in the past and what, by God's grace, we will have in the future, indeed for all eternity. And that is the fellowship that we have with one another in the Lord. The psalm is Psalm 133. And this is what it says. Behold how good and pleasant it is when brothers dwell together in unity. It is like the precious oil on the head, running down on the beard of Aaron, running down on the collar of his robes. It is like the dew of Hermon, which falls on the mountains of Zion. For there the Lord has commanded the blessing, life forevermore. You hear the clear first verse. Behold how good, how pleasant it is. When we dwell together, when the people of God dwell together in unity. This is a great blessing. And the next two images, though they might seem strange to us, are images of abundant, overflowing blessing. Oil was scarce, was a valuable commodity in the ancient world, and it was an image of blessing. Indeed, like rivers of oil is that metaphor is used in the Old Testament as an image of abundant blessing. And so you see the analogy here. It's the image of oil being poured over the head of Aaron and running off of his beard and down onto the robes. While you might not want that kind of bath, in this ancient world, it was an image of just overflowing, abundant goodness and blessing. To have that much oil, and in a dry climate, to be able to put that much oil on your skin. It was an image of blessing. And so is the image in a drier climate of dew falling on Mount Hermon and on Mount Zion, refreshing dew. And so these are both images, while strange to us, of the goodness of community. Because it is there, the psalm concludes, it is there. It is in that life together that God commands his blessing, even his blessing of life forevermore. Part of what God may be doing in this time period in which we are scattered is reminding us of the incredibly precious commodity. I don't know if that's the right word, commodity. The incredibly precious reality that we are in when we are part of the Church of Jesus Christ. It is good. It is pleasant. It is wonderful to gather back here and to hear you sing. To gather here and to see your faces and the warm greetings that are given every Sunday morning we gather, where you have to call people back together. The joy in being together to worship right here in this room, it's just not the same without you here. But maybe what God is teaching us is that what happens here, is so good, so important to the life of the Christian. Indeed, it is a foretaste of what will never end. The fellowship that we have with the Lord and with one another. So let this time, another month, we got this together. Let this time make us more intentional, continue to make us intentional in reaching out to one another and in teaching us, in teaching our hearts very deeply how good and pleasant it is. Indeed, how necessary it is to be a part of the body, the gathered body of Jesus Christ. I really do love this church. And I'm very grateful to be your pastor. And I am really looking forward to seeing you again. Until then, it was great to see your pictures in these images that you sent in. This is what some of you were doing on Sunday as you worshiped scattered.